Even though the Earth is not that big, it's still really big. And it has a lot of faraway places. Like for example, this island that is really far from any other land has a population of 258 people. A place where it's thousands of kilometers away from each continent. Meaning 258 people lonely in the middle of the ocean. The northern part of Alaska has a city called Barrow, and 4,200 people live there. Even though this city is inland, but the only way to get there is by plane. Because there's no roads or trains going there. Weirder than Barrow is Itarkortomit in Greenland. A weird place where only 458 people live. These 452 people only eat shrimp and whales, because in that weather, you really don't see any animals except the polar bear. You might ask, why don't they import meat? It's because they don't like it. They've eaten so much shrimp and whale that they're used to it. We named a few faraway places, but we want to go to the loneliest place we can find. Siberia. But where in Siberia? Like for example, if you go to the biggest Siberian city, Novosibirsk is a big city and it has everything you need. The winters are extremely cold, but it has everything you need to stay warm. But as you know, Siberia is a gigantic place. During Soviet times, they used Siberia for prisoners and camps. So whoever was against the Communist Party would go here most likely. Siberia is not a small place either. It's over 13 million kilometers squared, and that's 77% of Russia's land. And you could say all this land is useless. And even though it's 77% of Russian land, only 27% of the Russian people live here. And that says, in all this land, only 36 million people live here. And you could also say, these 36 million people are not satisfied with life. And even though you can find advanced areas in Siberia, but the weather doesn't allow the people to succeed. But let's enter Siberia a little deeper. Let's see what's going on. Oymyakon, a city in the eastern part of Siberia with 500 people living there. These 500 people live in a place where they call the coldest city on earth. In the winter, they only get 3 hours of sunlight. But in the short summer that it has, they get over 21 hours of sunlight, and there's only 3 hours of darkness. The coldest recorded temperature in this city was negative 70 degrees Celsius, but the average weather is negative 50 Celsius. The hottest recorded temperature in this city was 15 degrees Celsius, and they're not sure what happened that it got so hot over there. But if you want to go from Oymyakon to the closest city to there, it's about 1,000 kilometers away, and that city is called Yakutsk. The reporters that went to this city got depressed and left. Because they would explain, the whole time that they were there, they didn't really see any people. And people would barely leave their house. And the weather was negative 50. And they would also explain that you would see 2 creatures outside of the houses. One of them was really drunk men that were so drunk that they wouldn't feel the cold. And the other ones were Siberian Huskies. Huskies are one of those animals that can survive in this temperature, and it's really cool that they could sleep under snow as well. In this place, there is no such thing as farming, and that's because the snow doesn't even melt to let you farm. Sometimes there might be a week where there's no snow on the ground, but that's still not enough time. And that is why food usually comes from other places. There's only one store in this city, and it doesn't stay open all day, just a few hours. And only when there's supplies it's open. In this city, there's no such thing as fashion or looking good. Everybody pretty much has the same clothes. It just has to keep you warm. The people that visited this place would explain that they're so depressed over there that they don't even care about the clothes or the color of them. They might even wear one set of clothes for years. The people that visited also said that we entered with the warmest clothes we had, but we noticed that it's impossible to stay outside. And that is why we saw what the locals were wearing and bought those as well. Extremely thick, made out of animal fur clothes. And that would allow you to walk outside easily. In this place, there's only one hobby, and that is drinking Russian tea. In Siberia, vodka is called Russian tea. And there's plenty of Russian tea to go around. And you could say everybody is an alcoholic. In this city, there's no such thing as piping. The toilets are outside. And if you want to take too long, you might freeze to death. There's also no cars over there because you can't park it. If there's any pipings, it freezes and blows up. If there's a car, the cooling system would freeze and make the engine blow up. So how do you enter the city? There's no cars or trains going there. This city has a really small airport and it flies only in the summer, and the last flight happens at the beginning of winter. And for 6 months, it stays closed. Siberia is mostly flat land and it doesn't have a lot of mountains. If you want, you can go there with a car, but we wouldn't suggest you turn off the car, because if you turn it off, you kinda have to say goodbye to the car. You might ask, what do the people eat over there? Where does the food come from? We have to say that food is not a problem over there. There are places on this city that underneath the ice, there are lakes. They make holes in the ice and start fishing. And there are also a lot of reindeers, and they hunt them for the meat. The reporters that visited here say they cook this meat only with soup, no way else. Inside these people's houses are so cold, normal people can't stay in there because we're not used to it. Their clothes are extremely warm and their beds are extremely warm. And they drink so much Russian tea or vodka that they don't really notice the weather. The good thing about this city that you don't really need a refrigerator. If you put it inside one of those cabinets, it's gonna freeze. These people also have problems communicating with other cities. There's no good internet as well, and phone signal is either not there or extremely weak. With all these problems, the 500 people that live here are still living fine. And if you tell them, let's go somewhere better than here, they'll decline your offer. And they prefer this freezing hellhole over anywhere else. Siberia, with all this land, didn't succeed in anything. I don't know how the Soviets thought they are a superpower, because most of their lands was useless. What do you guys think? Please comment.